welcome back to my channel and another Ninja 15-in-1 recipe. Today we're actually going to use the air fryer mode. So if you don't have a Ninja 15-in-1, don't worry, you can still make this recipe. Any air fryer is perfect for this. So it is simply a really gorgeous homemade pizza. Of course, you can add whatever toppings you fancy. It's ideal knowing how to make a really good base, because then you can add whatever you really enjoy. Great for kids too. Get the kids involved even and get them making this with you. Let me show you how to do it. To start making our dough, we're going to use the scales here, and I've got my pot on top. I want 250 mils of water, and that is warm water, and that's really important. To that, we're going to add a tablespoon of honey. So let's pour that in. Let's measure that out. So, tablespoon. And I can add that straight into that warm water and mix that in. We also want a tablespoon of oil. I'm using some olive oil here, so 1 tablespoon. Add that into the mix. Now this pizza will make one really large one. So, you know, if you wanted to put this in the oven, you could make one huge one. But of course, the size that fits into an air fryer, you're probably looking at sort of 2 to 3 pizzas with this amount of dough. And then to that, we want to add our yeast. And that's what's going to give us that little bit of a rise. And we want a tablespoon. And again, I'm just going to add that in and give that a little mix. This requires a teaspoon of salt. And as you can see, that is what you are looking at there. Doesn't look great at this stage. And with the flour, you are looking at around 300 millilitres up to this sort of line here. Which is 1.5 cups if you're doing a cups measurement, and that's how much flour we need to start with. I just thought I would weigh that as well, so you've got a weight measurement. That's about 200 grams. Now all we're going to do is add this amount of flour to start with using our dough hook. If you don't have a dough hook, then of course you can do this by hand if you don't have a mixer. So just gradually mix this in. And this will just become quite sticky. And then we can continue to add the rest of the flour. As you can see now, it is just very, very sticky. So we add the rest of the flour really gradually. So you want the same amount of flour again. So another 200 grams, which came up to that 300 millilitres line, or 1.5 cups. Now what we're going to do is add this little by little until we get a dough that comes together. Still will be sticky, but it will be workable, you know, a dough that we can actually use and we can mold and we can make our pizza. So it could only be, you know, 100 grams, 150 grams to get to that point. But we're not going to know until we just add it in bit by bit. Right, you can see here how that is changing. That's definitely too sticky though, needs more flour. Tiny little bit more flour. I've got some left, but I think that is probably now a workable dough. When you get to this stage and you feel that it's sticky, but it's the right sort of consistency where, you know, we can actually use that as an actual dough, then you want to either knead it for 2 to 3 minutes in here. So when I say knead, I'm going to be using the dough hook. That's going to do the job for me. If you're doing it by hand, it's probably going to take 5 or 6. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Whilst the dough is just kneading in there, I wanted to show you my recent purchase. So these are just from Vizzen, and they are silicone baking mats, and these are amazing. They allow you to put dough or whatever you're using onto them, and it just stops that sticking. So great for pastry, pizza bases, making bread, all sorts of things you can use these for. I'll link these below for you if you're interested in them. You get a pack of 2 and they are just so handy. Saves me using tons and tons of cling film, you know, to stop it sticking to the worktop and that sort of thing. You may remember in one of my other videos that I opened up the 3-part Ninja bakeware set, which has been absolutely brilliant. Highly recommend it. I'm actually going to be using the crisper plate today. and we're going to cook the pizza onto that because I think it's going to make it go lovely and crispy on the base, which is what we're looking for. Again, another product that I'll link below for you. It's just so much easier for you to be able to grab those things if you do want them as well. But I'll show you it before we put it onto there. The dough is almost done, by the way. So this is my setup, what I'm going to use. So I'm going to use the rack, and then this is the crisper tray. So you've got all of those nice holes in there. So you're going to get loads of airflow around it. It's non-stick, so that's great. And then we can just lower the pizza into the basket like this. Right, let's lift that up. That has had a few minutes now. It's warm. It's sticky, but it's definitely pliable, which is great. Let's just take that off of the hook. Oh my God, that dough looks incredible, actually. That's come out really, really well. Now I'm going to let that sit for 10 minutes and just cover that over. And we want to see that grow to sort of 1.5 times. And whilst we're waiting for the dough, just to get that little bit of a rise on it, we're going to make our own pizza sauce. Of course, you can buy one in the supermarket. There's loads of those available. But I didn't buy one because I forgot, didn't think about it. So I've easily got the ingredients to make it anyway. So all I like to use is some passata, and I just try and make the amount that I know that I'm going to need. And then to that, add some tomato puree, tomato paste, whatever you like to call it. So that's really going to make that nice and rich. It thickens it up as well. And then to mine, I liked some dried oregano. Be quite generous with that. And also some garlic granules. Lovely job. Give that a little mix. And it really is as simple as that. If you feel it's a little bit too thin still, just add a little bit more tomato puree. You can give it a taste. You can check the seasonings. If you feel like it needs a bit of salt and pepper, then you can add that as well. So ready for my topping, I've got some mushrooms, I've got some red pepper, some pepperoni. I'm going to use a mozzarella and cheese mix because I've got that in the fridge. And then I made this pesto the other day, and I don't know if you've seen my video of that, but check that out. This is the most gorgeous pesto. It is so delicious. Absolutely love this. Used it on some pasta the other day. So now we're going to use a little bit on our pizza. My dough is nice and big now. Look at that. That looks brilliant. Just got to try and get it out of here though now. It's not too difficult. There you go. Let's get that onto my silicone mat. Now I'm going to chop this in half, roughly. And I'm going to save half of this for later. And that'll be for my son. And this half I'm going to use right now. So as you can see, you can really move this around. It's nice and pliable. And what we want to do is get this to a point where it's the same size as this. Now use your mat and just literally push it outwards. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're not looking for a perfect circle here, but just a nice shaped pizza base. Look at that. Now what we want to do is fork this. So get some holes in this base like this. Do that all over. Doesn't take a minute. Doesn't have to be too even. It's all good. And then use my oil sprayer, which I've been showing you recently. I've only just bought this. This has been great. If you do a nice firm press, you get a really good mist. There you go. Now I want to try, if I can, to flip this over. This is the slightly tricky bit. It will come off. Just be patient with it. There you go. You can see it coming. There you go, flip it over. So it will lose its shape a little bit, but that is absolutely fine. And then do the same on the other side. Now let's try and get that. It's much easier now because we've got that oil on one side. Let's try and fit that as perfectly as we can. And that's a nice thing about using this round disc. Okay, so what I like to do with my pizzas is I like to pre-bake the crust because we do not want a soggy base. We want a nice crispy base. So I'm now going to go and put this onto air fry for 4 minutes, and then I'll turn it over and do another 2 minutes on the other side. All right, lid down. Let's get this onto air fry. Perfect, just 4 minutes on that first side. Let's lift the lid. That's had the 4 minutes. Easiest way for me really is to grab this, take it straight out. Look at that base. That is looking really good. I can easily flip it. And as you can see, the underside is raw. So we're going to now put that on back onto air fry just a couple of minutes because obviously it will continue cooking when we get the toppings on as well. So this should be about right. Brilliant, that's finished. So I actually went with 3 minutes on this side just because it is quite a thick base that I've gone with today. Of course, the mixture, you could cut that into smaller amounts, make it a lot thinner if you want a real thin crust, but this is more of a sort of deep pan, I would say. But that's good in our house, we like that. So let's start by adding the tomato sauce that we have made. So just spread that out. Put as much as you like on here, really. This is a nice thing about doing it with kids. You can encourage them to put on maybe something different, try something new as well, bit of extra veg on there. And if you are making this for kids and you want to get extra veg in them, then of course this tomato sauce, if you actually blitzed it up, you could add a little bit of vegetables. You could add a few veggies in, couldn't you? And then they're hidden. No one will ever know that they're there. Now I'm going to add my cheese. Look at this. This is going to be delicious. When my son comes home later and realises he's got homemade pizza, he's going to be so pleased. And then a little bit of pesto. I really love pesto on my pizza. I think it's really nice just to have a few little blobs. Doesn't have to be too even. Do it however you like. And then add whatever toppings that you desire. So I had some pepperoni. So I'm going to add that. And then scatter my red peppers. Let me know in the comments what pizza is your favourite. Mine probably is pepperoni or some sort of meat pizza. I'm quite happy if it's got beef, bacon. I like a bit of everything on mine. But I do not get the whole pineapple on a pizza thing. It's not for me. It's not for everybody, is it? Let me know if you like it and if it's something that you would order. Let me show you up close what that is looking like. That looks amazing, doesn't it? Let's get that onto air fry. Now we'll keep an eye on it. I think we're probably only going to need around 5 minutes. Actually, this is cool enough now for me to hold and just put it in. So let's insert that. 5 minutes. I'm going to actually lower the temperature now to 180. Look at this gorgeous pizza. The nice thing was that it just slides straight off. We've got a nice crust, but we've still got that sort of soft doughiness to it as well, because this is a nice deep pan pizza. Let's slice this so it's ready to serve. Smells gorgeous as well. There you go. There is my homemade pizza. You can see the lovely air bubbles we've got in that base. Nice crispy edge. And the dough is cooked all the way through and delicious with all of that topping. I hope you give it a go. Let me know if you do. The pizza was incredible, and my husband is not a massive pizza fan. I absolutely adore pizza. I think it's quite strange, but he's not, and he said, probably the best pizza he's eaten. So that is a massive compliment. You have to try this. I know it's a tiny bit of work making the dough, but the results are so worth it. And just leaving it to rest for 10 minutes really isn't a long time, and it puffed up really quickly. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, remember, hit the like button for me and subscribe if you're new here and not seen any of my recipes before. I really love it if you would follow along, and I hope to see you next time for another video.